Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Asaba, there lived this beautiful couple, Dike and Elle. This couple had met in the university and married immediately after university. They loved each other and did everything together. They never kept any secrets amongst themselves. But something that troubled them the most was that they had no child of their own. Dike is a very wealthy businessman. He sold cars and had different showrooms. His wife, Elle, is a banker, so they were living their dream life. Dike and Elle had visited different clinics trying to know what the issue was, but they always told them that they were both fine. Elle was bothered, as though Dike's mother had not yet started disturbing her, but she knew that very soon she was going to start. Elle made it a point of duty to always pray every night before she goes to bed. She made praying by 12 o'clock a normal thing in her house. She prayed fervently, hoping that one day she was going to be able to carry her own child. But as the days went by, she made sure her husband also joined her to pray. She told him that it was better they pray together so that God could hear their heart cry. Dike and Elle were always present in their friends' child's christening, and most of their friends always asked them to be the godparents of their children, and they always obliged, believing that it was going to pave way for them to have their own child. Dike and Elle also made it a point of duty to always sow seed in motherless baby home. They believed that the prayer of children will always be answered and could pave way in opening her womb. After 2 failed IVF, Elle gave up. She couldn't continue taking meds. The injections were too much and so annoying to her. She told her husband Dike she wasn't going to do any other IVF. Instead, she was going to wait on God, wait for God to give her her own bundle of joy. And that was it. Elle stopped visiting the clinic, continued going to work and praying and hoping that one day she was going to give birth. As the days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, Dike and Elle had a reason to smile. Few days to their 5th wedding anniversary, Elle started throwing up and she was taken to the hospital immediately. To their greatest surprise, after the doctor carried out series of tests, it was confirmed that Elle was pregnant. Dike screamed out of excitement. He was so happy. He was so grateful. Elle cried tears of joy. She knew that her God would never fail her. She was so excited. And because of the good news they had just heard, Dike decided to take Elle on a vacation out of Asaba to cool off, to celebrate the arrival of a bundle of joy. They were so glad in their hearts. They couldn't ask for anything more. Who would have ever thought that he was going to hear the cry of a baby in his home? So, Dike and Elle traveled to a resort and spent time together, bonding, remembering old times, thanking God for his gift and praying that the gift stays to full time. And after a period of time, they returned back to Asaba and continued their life like normal. Elle made sure she never missed any of her antenatal. She made sure she followed up every doctor's appointment. She took everything serious. She prayed for her baby from the very first day she heard she was pregnant till the very moment she gave birth to the child. Elle kept on praying and confessing positive things to her child. She kept on speaking greatness into her child. She kept on blessing God for her baby. Elle also made a beautiful room for her daughter as she had confirmed the sex of the baby, and she was so excited to be giving birth to a baby girl. As the days went by, Elle gave birth at her appointed time to a beautiful baby girl, and she was named Mesoma Chuku. They threw a very large party for her christening. Everyone was invited. Dike left his gate open and anyone, passers-by, were all permitted to come and eat and celebrate. As the days went by, Elle took care of her baby diligently, closely observing her baby. And when it was time for Mesoma to crawl, Mesoma didn't crawl. Elle was surprised, though when she called her mom told her some children tend to take longer time to do most of those things. That you hear that an average child of so age should crawl doesn't mean that all kids tend to crawl at that time. Take it slow at a time. Don't bother yourself. You already know that Mesoma is a miracle baby. Please and please, don't pressure yourself in any way. So with this, Elle was very encouraged and she was patiently taking care of her baby, hoping that Mesoma was going to crawl and walk at the appointed time. But when Mesoma turned 1 year, 6 months, Mesoma wasn't crawling or walking, and this got Elle surprise. Even though she couldn't walk, but she was supposed to be crawling at 1 year, 6 months. So Elle and Dike took Mesoma to the hospital. And when they got to the hospital, it was confirmed that Mesoma has a slow developmental process, meaning that she was sick and she wasn't like a regular child. She picked her things slowly. Dike and Elle felt defeated. They felt pained, but at the same time, they encouraged themselves and told themselves it was better having a child than not having at all. Though the doctor assured them that Mesoma was going to still walk and speak, and it was a gradual process and they shouldn't give up on her. Elle resigned from her job and took it up to take care of her daughter, knowing fully well that she might not be able to communicate with anyone, as Mesoma had not yet started speaking, though she could crawl now and gradually take a step, but she wasn't yet talking. Mesoma always watched other children play outside, but she was too scared to go play with them and she couldn't communicate, so she always watched the kids play outside. This got Elle really disturbed, and Elle made it a point of duty to always pray and teach Mesoma the little tales she could, showing her beautiful picture books and trying to call the words. She believed in her heart that even if Mesoma couldn't speak, Mesoma could understand, and that was something that kept her going. So with this, her parents always invited their godchildren to always come around and play with her. At least it was inside their home and they were sure of her safety. Amongst these god kids, Mesoma was fond of Anita. Aside her parents' name, Anita was the only name she could call. Anita also liked Mesoma sincerely as they were age mates and other god kids were senior to them. Anita always took care of Mesoma and called her my sister. Because of their bond, Anita spent most of her days with Mesoma. This made Elle excited as Anita contributed in Mesoma's development. Mesoma started picking up some words gradually as she saw Anita. So, because Dike and Elle were so grateful to Anita, they paid and settled all her school fees, providing Anita with whatsoever she wanted, because Anita made it a point of duty to always come stay with Mesoma immediately she was done from school. Elle was so grateful. Anita was like Mesoma's twin sister. They lived and did everything together. Whenever Anita was done with school, she came back to Mesoma's home, teaching her everything she had learned, playing with her. Mesoma never felt lonely for one day because of Anita, and this gave Elle a whole encouragement, and she was so glad for the blessings of her godchild. Because of Mesoma's illness, growing up, Anita wanted to be a doctor. She wanted to treat Mesoma's condition. She always told Mesoma, "Don't worry, when I become a doctor, I'm going to make you strong like me and powerful like me." This gave Mesoma encouragement and she was so happy. She always told Anita, "I can't wait for you to be a doctor because I'm going to become fine." As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, months into years. The both girls grew up, living like twins. Although Mesoma was a bit reserved, knowing her condition, she kept to herself. She only spoke to her parents and Anita, as most people teased her that she thinks and behaved like a child. It was only Anita that really cared about her. Though Anita didn't read medicine in school as planned, but she read law. Something kept on dragging her towards law, and she went for it. So she took her time to explain to Mesoma so that Mesoma doesn't feel betrayed in any way, knowing fully well she had promised Mesoma that she was going to become a doctor. The girls weren't getting any younger, and Anita had found someone who wanted to get married to her. Although her friend from university days, who was also a medical doctor and was a very strong, talented medical doctor. He was the best surgeon in Asaba. Anita always told Mesoma, you see, since I didn't become a medical doctor, I made sure to get married to a medical doctor, so you're always going to be safe in my hands. Mesoma was always excited and told Anita, thank you, sister, as she always felt and believed that Anita was her sister. DK and Elle, who were so excited on the news of Anita's wedding, gifted her a duplex close to their house, as they wanted to make sure that Anita was still close to Mesoma, knowing fully well that aside them, Anita was the only person Mesoma trusted. But unknown to everyone, Mesoma had another friend who was the gardener's son. His name is Simon. Simon had always stayed by her side while Anita was in university. Simon is 2 years older than Mesoma, but what attracted Simon to Mesoma was her beauty and her natural smile. She was a very kind-hearted person, not because she actually behaved like a child or think like a child, but she was genuinely kind like her both parents. He always looked at Mesoma whenever he came to clean the garden, or the days he was assisting his father, and Mesoma was sitting by her window side as always. He kept on staring at her, admiring her beauty, and gradually he made out time to talk to her whenever she stepped out. Mesoma became close to Simon because of the way he spoke. Simon is also a medical doctor, and whenever he had break from his university, he made out time to meet with Mesoma. This gave Mesoma joy because aside Anita, she had someone she could confide in. When Simon was done with the university, he had told his father that he wanted to get married to Mesoma, but his father refused, stating that Mesoma was sick and probably her sickness was something that could be passed from generation to generation. But Simon tried to explain to his father that it's a rare genetic condition that could occur in one person and might not even transfer to her generation. But Simon's father refused. He told Simon, you can't get married to her, and that is final. She's sick, and I don't care whether they are ready to give you anything or sponsor the wedding, but you can't get married to a sick lady. Can't you see the way she behaves? She doesn't even talk her age. She still talks like a child of 18 years. Please and please remove your mind off her. You can't get married to her. This made Simon feel bad. He was heartbroken as he didn't want to go against his father's rules. So he made up his mind that he was going to gradually talk his father towards getting married to Mesoma. You can't get married to her over my dead body. So if you want me to die, go get married to her. This broke Simon's heart. So he decided to leave the city of Asaba and go further his education. So Simon went to the city of Lagos to go do his master's. He felt that living Asaba as a whole was going to remove his mind from Mesoma. And as the days went by, Mesoma's parents were always thinking of how Mesoma was going to cope. Mesoma wasn't getting young anymore, and she needed someone by her side. And her father couldn't even trust anyone. He believed that if Mesoma was to get married, the only person they could trust was her husband. And gradually, they kept on looking for someone who was going to get married to Mesoma, but they couldn't find. One day, while Dike was sitting in his office, signing some documents and thinking about his daughter, one of his godsons, named Emeka, entered the office and greeted him. And while they conversed, he asked Emeka how he was doing and how school was and how life was. Emeka told him everything was fine and he had just returned and school was fine. Dike was so excited for him and asked him, "So what is your next plan? What do you have to do?" Emeka looked at him and told him, "I have come today to greet you and to know how Mesoma was doing." Dike looked at Emeka and was surprised and asked, "So you still remember Mesoma?" Emeka laughed and said, "Yes, she's like his sister to me. You're my godfather." Dike smiled and said, "She's doing well, she's fine. So what's about her?" And Emeka told Dike that he wanted to ask for Mesoma's hands in marriage. Dike was shocked at first, and he thought to himself, does he know about her condition? So Dike became so transparent with Emeka and told Emeka everything concerning Mesoma and asked if he was still comfortable getting married to her. Emeka said yes, that he already knew right from when they were small that Mesoma had just little sickness and needed proper attention. Dike was so excited. He was so glad. His joy had no bound. And he felt he could trust Emeka because Emeka wasn't just a stranger to him. Emeka was his godson. He knew Emeka right from when Emeka was small. When he got home that evening, he shared the good news with Elle and told Elle all Emeka had told him. Elle was so excited as she also knew who Emeka was. They quickly called Mesoma and told Mesoma about Emeka and told Mesoma that someone was coming for her hands in marriage. Though Elle was a bit skeptical, knowing fully well that her daughter wasn't ready for marriage, but there was nothing they could do. If they don't get her married on time, she was going to become too old and no one might be able to get married to her then. As the days went by, Emeka visited the home, and when Mesoma saw him, she liked his body build, but she kept on looking at him like a total stranger. Emeka tried to introduce who he was to Mesoma. Mesoma played nice and nodded in agreement. And as the days went by, Emeka made it a point of duty to always visit her, trying to connect and bond with her, trying to show her his true feelings, his love for her. And like magic, Mesoma fell for him. And they started laughing, chanting, bonding. Dike and Elle were so excited. This was something they had always looked forward to, as their daughter wasn't getting younger anymore. And in few months, Emeka and Mesoma got married. And after the marriage, even though Emeka really wanted to move Mesoma to his own place, Dike had suggested that he got them a house closer to him. So Dike built them a duplex for both of them to live in, so that he could have proper eyes on his daughter. As much as he believed Emeka was a good person, but he couldn't trust him 100%, and he just wanted to be sure his daughter was in safe hands. Emeka was so nice to Mesoma, taking care of her, providing her with whatsoever she needed. Mesoma was so happy. She was living in the moment. Whenever Anita comes to visit her, she noticed that Mesoma was happy. And Anita was so grateful that Mesoma had found someone who truly loved her. Dike and Elle were so excited that their daughter had found someone who loved her and someone who was really taking care of her. One day, Dike and Elle had gone to their new foundation. They had just opened the foundation and they were so excited. They were so glad. It was an achievement that they had looked forward to. But on their way returning back home, they had an accident and they both lost their life. This broke everybody's hearts, not just Mesoma's heart. The heart of Anita Anita's parents, and so many others. Dickie and Elle were great and nice people. They had done lots of things to their society. They had provided to the needy. They had taken care of a lot of people. Their burial was massive. Everyone had something nice to say about them. They were so loved. People came out in mass to mourn them. But few months after the burial, Emeka moved Mesoma straight to the basement and brought his longtime girlfriend Elle into the house. And he started living with Elle like Elle was his wife and Mesoma was his house help. He made Mesoma do everything. Mesoma cried her eyes every blessed day. And he told Mesoma, "My dear, I never came here to get married to you. I only came here for the money," knowing fully well that nobody was ready to get married to you. So I just had to play along and wait for your parents to leave the picture. Then I will inherit everything that belongs to you. These words broke Mesoma's heart. Nobody had seen this side of Emeka. Emeka came with the whole heart of "I love your daughter," plain on nice and sincere. Mesoma cried her eyes every day as Elle made sure she cleaned the house every blessed day, even when it was needed and when it wasn't. Mesoma was heartbroken. Not just that, Emeka had turned Mesoma to a house girl. He made sure that no one came to visit her, even Anita. He asked the security man not to open the gate for anybody. And even if Anita should come, the security man should tell Anita that Mesoma was fine and she was sleeping. But this bothered Anita, as Anita had visited countless times, and whenever she got to the gate man was going to dismiss her and tell her that Mesoma was sleeping. And whenever she tried Mesoma's line, it was currently switched off. Anita started panicking. She became surprised. Mesoma's line was always going through when her father was alive. How come after her father's death and burial, her line suddenly stopped going through? Unknown to Anita, Emeka had collected her phone and put off her line so no one could contact her. He practically turned her to a living maid, as Mesoma did everything Elle asked her to do. So one day, Simon returned back and he decided to pay his father a visit in Mr. Dickie's mansion. And when he got to Mr. Dickie's mansion, he noticed that Mr. Dickie was not around and Elle was not around. And he quickly asked his father what had happened. His father broke the sad news to him and how power had changed, how Dickie and Elle died, and their son-in-law, Emeka, had changed the rules and even turned their daughter to a maid, bringing in his own girlfriend to live with him. Simon was heartbroken by everything that he had heard, and he quickly asked his father, how come no one has reported? How come no one has said anything? But his father told him that nobody can, as he had threatened everybody in this compound. Simon quickly told himself, I don't work for him, and I must make sure I do something about this. So that evening, while Simon was sneaking into the basement to go meet Mesoma, he overheard Emeka talking of how they had to go to the main building to get all Mr. Dickie's documents so as to convert all his properties to his name. Simon was shocked. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. And he quickly entered the basement and asked Mesoma how she was doing. When Mesoma saw him, she ran and gave him a huge hug and asked him how he was doing and where he has been. Simon explained everything, but what mattered to him was that he needed to get Mesoma out of the building and also make Mesoma go collect her father's documents before Emeka laid his hands on them. So that night, when the security man was sleeping, Simon covered Mesoma properly and they sneaked out of the compound. And the moment they were out of the gates, they ran as fast as their legs could carry them until they got to the main building. The moment they got to the main building, they tried different passwords trying to open Mr. Dickey's lock. And she quickly remembered one time when her dad always sang a song to her and always told her that the key to everything, it's your birthday, my princess. And she quickly told Simon that she knows the password. And immediately she tried her birthday, the lock opened. She collected all the documents and clipped the lock back and took the documents straight to Anita's house that night. When she got to Anita's house and started banging on the door, Anita was scared at first to open the door as she didn't know who it was. But Mesoma quickly told her, "It's your sister." And when she opened the door, she was shocked to see Simon. And she was panicking. What's going on? I have always come to look for you, but they told me you were sleeping. What's going on here? Mesoma explained everything that had happened to Anita. Simon also explained what he had heard. Anita was heartbroken. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Emeka that was playing all nice. Everybody welcomed him well. Mr. Dickey even gave him a car. Mr. Dickey also gave him so many things. How come he had turned his own daughter to a maid in her father's house? This was something Anita couldn't just understand. So she quickly told Mesoma to return back to the house, as if she wasn't there, Emeka was going to suspect, and they needed to play smart. As she pleaded with Simon to please return Mesoma back to the house. Now, in order to catch Emeka, everybody had to pretend that they knew nothing about his plans. So Simon accepted and sneaked Mesoma back to the house, back to the basement. And when he got there, he made sure he stayed with her, trying to calm her down, trying to make sure that she wasn't feeling tensed in any way. And the moment Mesoma slept off, Simon left. So that night, Anita could not sleep. She took her time and went through all Mr. Dickey's documents. And while going through Mr. Dickey's document, she found out that Mr. Dickey had Emeka sign that if he ever maltreats his daughter or abuse her because of her condition, Emeka was to leave the marriage with nothing. Emeka was supposed to be stripped of all the wealth he had acquired during the course of marriage, and he was supposed to leave with nothing. The moment Anita saw it, she jumped out of excitement. She couldn't believe that the problem was going to be solved with just one signature Emeka had signed. She was so glad. Her husband, Udo, came out and asked her what was making her excited. She explained everything that had happened and explained how Emeka was going to pay for his sins unknown to him. The next morning, Emeka and his boys quickly went to Mr. Dickey's house and ransacked the house looking for the documents, but they couldn't find anything. The house remained the way it was, and they were shocked. And they asked, did he leave it with his lawyer? Is there a way of communicating with his lawyer? So, Emeka quickly thought to himself, I can just quickly invite the lawyer and say that Mesoma wanted to know what was in the will. And after Emeka finished thinking to himself, he quickly invited Mr. Dickey's lawyer. And when the lawyer had come, the lawyer told Emeka that Mr. Dickey had instructed him to hand over everything to Anita, as Anita was supposed to be Mesoma's lawyer. So whatsoever information he needed to get concerning Mr. Dickey or Mr. Dickey's property, he should contact Anita. This made Emeka angry, as he knew he had always prevented Anita from getting close to Mesoma so that Mesoma wouldn't tell her what was happening. But he needed that document, so he invited Anita over. And when Anita came, she pretended like she had not known anything concerning what Mesoma had told her. And Emeka asked Anita about Mr. Dickey's properties and will. Anita quickly told him, I don't have any information concerning his properties. I only know about his will. But concerning his property, I think you have to communicate with Mesoma, his daughter. She's the only one that has access to that. Mr. Dike was very, very careful with his properties as he did not trust anyone. Emeka was so surprised. Why are they all turning him up and down? How can they say Mesoma had the documents? As Mesoma was just thinking like a child. Yeah. And he told Anita, please don't joke with me. Where are the properties? As Mr. Dike had also assigned some things to me, so I am the rightful owner of those things he had assigned to me. Anita looked at him and said, the things Mr. Dike assigned to you, you can only benefit them if Mesoma give them to you. Aside that, you can't. This made Emeka angry and he screamed at Anita. Anita looked at her and said, please, I would like to talk to Mesoma. Invite your wife and let's end this discussion rather than coming to talk to me. And when Mesoma came, she acted all surprised and looked at Mesoma and said, why are you looking like this? What's happening? Why are you not looking all bright? Emeka looked at Anita and said, I don't get. What's the meaning of that question? You said I should invite her for something. Talk to her so that she can give me what belongs to me. And right there, Mesoma told Emeka that she has nothing to give to him, as her father did not tell her anything about him or about any property for him. Emeka was so offended and so angry at the same time, and he threatened to take them to court. And Anita told him, no problem, we will meet in court. And the day they went to court, unlike what Emeka expected, he thought that taking Mesoma and Anita to court was going to give him the privilege to access so many documents. Unknown to him that he had signed something with Mr. Dike, and the moment they got to court, the case was presented to the judge. Emeka was found guilty in all ways, and Emeka was stripped of his wealth. Anita made sure Emeka dropped as low as the wristwatch he acquired when he got married to Mesoma. And when she was done, she kicked Emeka and Elle out of the house and told them never to return. And if they do, they were going to find themselves in jail. Anita was so excited. She was so glad that Mesoma had come to her that night. She was so glad that Simon had overheard Emeka's conversation, which had saved them a whole lot. And with this, Mesoma was so grateful to Simon. Simon had always loved Mesoma. Mesoma also liked him, though she didn't really know what it felt to love someone. But after the betrayal she had felt with Emeka, she knew that Simon really had her at heart. And after a long argument with Simon and his father, Simon's father decided to give in. And Simon got married to Mesoma. They lived happily, with Simon taking care of her, pampering her and making sure she never ever felt less of herself. Something Anita never knew that she had found out during the course of the court period was that Mr. Dike also willed a lot of property to her. He was always grateful that Anita had always stood by his daughter's side. Anita was able to open her own law firm with all Mr. Dike had willed to her. Simon and Mesoma welcomed their baby boy. Simon was so happy, as Simon always made sure he took care of his wife as a medical doctor, taking care of her, giving her all the necessary vitamins she needed, making sure she ate balanced diet, and protecting her integrity. We've come to the end of the story. It's your favorite storyteller, Zika. Please, I would like you to share what you've learned from the story. Thank you very much for always supporting us. We do not take you for granted. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything you do. Bye for now. I would like to ask, do you think Emeka got what he deserved, as he had maltreated Dike's daughter? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. To meet again in our next Please do not forget to subscribe, share, like, turn on the notification bell to get more interesting stories like this.